Hello everybody, welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, deck number 603, we have Jolrael, Mwonvuli, Recluse. And I'm fairly certain I mispronounced that. Really not a bad mono green commander here. I really like it. So we got 2 mana, 1/2 human druid. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 green cat creature token. Now, 6 mana, so we can do this, as many times as we want, although I don't know that we want to. Until end of turn, creatures you control have base, power, and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. So for 6 mana, it kind of turns all your team into Morrow. So, now this first ability is kind of different. Now, it makes you want to draw cards. Back in the day, green didn't used to be a card draw color, but now it kind of is. So, I guess the idea here is to draw cards as much as you can. Now, it says each turn, so whenever you draw the second card on your turn, you get a cat, and if you happen to draw 2 cards on somebody else's turn, you'll also get a cat. So, I guess first things first, let's do our ramp package. Now, I did have the chance to play this. It did all right. We have Llanowar Elves, of course, Llanowar Visionary. Now, you're going to see this line quite a bit. Draw card. That's one thing I tried to do is I wanted as many cards to replace themselves as possible, because you're already drawing 1 for the turn. So you've just got to draw 1 more card in there somewhere. So there's a whole lot of, enters draw card. And I also love the fact that Llanowar Visionary, a little known thing here, this is literally, in every way, a Llanowar Elf and an Elvish Visionary stapled together. You add the mana cost, add the power and toughness, add the text box. Heck, it's even got 1 word from each name. Beautiful execution. Anyway, Elvish Mystic, Karametra's Acolyte, Explorer. Hey, draws you a card. And in this deck, sometimes Explorer's not so awesome. You draw it late game, you don't have a land in your hand, and you don't draw a land. You're like, it's 2 mana draw a card. 2 mana cycle, really. Almost. So, but here, it provides that second card draw. Search for Tomorrow, which I'm seeing more recently than normal. Rampant Growth. Hour of Promise. Hour of Promise is important for the same reason why Sylvan Scrying is now. Sylvan Scrying is not part of my ramp package, but those 2 are in there specifically to go find the Reliquary Tower. Because you need it. I didn't have it last night, and I missed it. This is Pilgrimage, Bonder's Ornament. And I want to talk about Renewal. This is a ramp card that not a lot of people play or even know about, because it's Homelands. Now, yes, it is 3 mana. It puts the basic land onto the battlefield, untapped, so that's cool. You draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Now, in the Ice Age Homelands era, that was a thing that they did quite a bit in the beginning days of cantrips. And it's widely regarded as not that good. But for this particular purpose, it is outstanding. Now, I looked through all of the, draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep cards I had. And this was, I think, the only one to make the cut, sadly, because, let's face it, card design was a little different back then. But anyway, that is our ramp. Now we got card draw. Now, obviously there's card draw in just about everything, but we have card draw in the form of, to Return the Wild Speaker. This is an instant, so we can do it on our opponent's turn. That way we get the cat on their turn. Temple Bell, obviously we're going to, use it on the opponent's turn as well. Lifecrafter's Bestiary did some work, because with this much ramp, and as much mana as I was drawing, I was able to pay that 1 for every creature and not really set me back. So, it was nice. And you know what? I forgot to scry at all during that game. I guess I should RTFC. Seer Sundial. Didn't draw it, but it used to be like one of the pinnacle card draws, but it is colorless, and that's kind of why it's in here. It might actually get eked out and get replaced by something else. Keen Sense is great. What is that? Curiosity in green. Harmonize, of course. I mean, we got to do it. Snake Umbra did some work. Love the totem armor. And Primordial Sage. This way, every creature you cast is a card draw spell. And it's really cool with stuff like that Elvish Visionary you saw, because you play it, you draw 2 cards. Sweet. And then our ultimate card drawing card, Recycle. Now, I drew it, but I was in dire straits at the time, and I didn't have enough mana. Well, I mean, I had enough mana to cast it, but it wouldn't. Yeah. So, I never noticed the smiley face on that mug before. Huh. Anyway. I guess the only other no max hand size card we've got is Vincer's Journal, which put in some work, gaining me some life. Inevitably just, delaying my doom because I didn't have answers. I was not drawing answers that game. But it's a good card. No max hand size. Stampeding Wildebeest is in here because there are so many cards that come into play draw card. Okay, and the ability to be able to put one back in your hand every one of your upkeeps. And here it's not a drawback. It's a, it's not a bug, it's feature. Yeah, that's the term. Stuff like Elvish Visionary. Voice of Many is a pretty good thing to pop back in your hand, Let's see what else we got here. Wall of Blossoms is a good one. Feline Sovereign's in there. I mean, we are making cats. Protection from dogs, most of the time not relevant, but cats deal in combat, you get a free naturalize out of it? Okay. Keeper of Fables. Now, we don't have humans in the deck, so that's a thing. I'm going to be drawing some cards. Scavenging Ooze. It's hard for me, if I've got a Scavenging Ooze, it's hard for me not to use it. It's just simply because there's so many strategies that rely on the graveyard, and it's not, it's a 2-mana 2/2 in worst case scenario. And Renata, we're playing mono green, so, and, your other creatures, cats are now 3/3s. Drove of Elves, hexproof, and can be big, can be small. Glade Muse. Player casts a spell. If it's not their turn, that player draws a card. Yes, it does help your opponents too. So does Temple Bell, things like that. But, Nessian Game Warden. Burlfist Oak. Now, if I had seen Burlfist Oak, woo, that would have been a different scenario altogether. And I didn't see Psychosis Crawler either. I know Chris, I was playing against Chris, he's probably seeing these cards going, oh my god, I'm glad I didn't see those. Yavimaya Elder. Now, I like Yavimaya Elder because this is Green's Ancestral Recall. I know it costs 3, but you play it for 5 mana, you put 3 cards in your hand. For 5 mana, you turn 1 card into 3 cards. When we're trying to get cards in our hand, that's a good deal. Oakham Adversary. Combat damage, draw a card. And, green's a popular color. Caravan Caryatid. Now, Morrow obviously had to be in here, right? Power, toughness, equal number of cards in hand. And Sage of the Ancient Lore. Now, this is not a bad card. Now, I didn't actually flip it because we were playing so many cards. It was a 2-player game. We were playing so many cards that it just didn't have a chance to flip, so it stayed Sage of Ancient Lore. Let's look at our miscellaneous pile here. I didn't really, Chromatic Star and Chromatic Sphere are in there to, draw some cards. Just turn one, we can, and you can pop it on your opponent's turn to get that card draw. Imperial Plate, great card in this deck. Really, really matters. Mental note. This is for Brian. This is for future Brian. When you revisit this deck, because typically when I go to revise a deck, I'll watch the old video. When you go to revisit this deck, Brian, include more ways to give them trample. Because the ways I have to give them trample right now is Stampede. Evidently, I was out of overruns when I built this deck. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I have Overcome as well. Yeah. Brian, get you an overrun. I do have a Fog, just cause. Sometimes you need it. Insist. There are times when you got to resolve a creature, and that the counterspell player is not going to let you. Now, granted, the argument is this gets countered instead of, but if that's the case, they're less one counter, right? Primal Bellow does work, in mono green. That's no surprise. Gaia's Blessing, shuffling 3 back in, you get to draw a card. Second Harvest, doubling those cat tokens. Wild Size, yeah, we're paying a little much for the giant growth here, but it is an instant. Draws that card. That's the reason why it's in here. Nature's Wrath is a hate card that don't see a whole lot of love either from alliances. If they're playing blue or black, it's a bad day. Unless they get rid of it. Now, Vernal Equinox, I had it in my hand, but I didn't cast. This is probably the spot where I need to. The reason why it's in here is the idea behind me including it was all of those comes into play draw card creatures I could play on my opponent's turn and get cats on their turn. Because card draw, this deck's kind of weird. It's measured card draw. We only want to draw 2 cards a turn. Because anything over that, we're just wasting our card draw resources and we're not getting cats out of it. So, this way, I can do it on everybody else's turn. But anybody can. So, yeah, there's better versions of this, but Vernal Equinox is what I stumbled across at the time. I got 2 non-basics in Desert of, cycling lands. Because there again, I can cycle on an opponent's turn to get that cat. Now, my removal suite here is a little sketchy, I'm not going to lie. Kenris Transformation. Notice a common theme here. Draw a card. Rending Vines. Draw a card. And here, it actually works with the cards in your hand, so the drawback isn't that much of a drawback. Mystic Melting. It's a naturalized, we're paying double for because you get to draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep, which starts that turn, Dissenter's Deliverance. Yeah, it cycles, draw that card. Bind. How many times will this matter? I know. But you know what? There's a lot of activated abilities that you just don't want to resolve. Pay 50 life, deal 50 damage. That's the first one that comes to my mind. There's millions. Well, thousands. But the battlefield is cluttered enough. Be still. It's the first time I've ever read the flavor text. We have Slice and Twain. Again, it is exactly double naturalized because it's an instant. And it draws you a card. I am running the Return to Nature because of the value. I love the card. Not really value, but the options. Plummet. Why not, right? So we don't have flyers. And our last card is Desert Twister. We do have an amazing amount of mana in here. So paying 6 mana for the Desert Twister's not that big a deal. And there she is. That's Jolrael. I had a blast playing it. No, I didn't win, but you know, it was still a good time. Still a good time. So put it in our handy dandy box. I was able to questions on the deck box, where I get the deck box. And I'll be honest with you, I get the deck boxes from my friendly local game store. I do. Most of your game stores will have access to them. I know Southern Hobby, the distributor, carries them. I just re-upped yesterday. Drove out there, picked up 25. And, yeah, so LGSs are, okay, Ultra Pro makes them, and I know it's a hard time for shipping and manufacturing. It's affecting all aspects, but evidently they're still making the deck box. So let's go put 603 on the wall. It's a lot quicker of a walk, you know. But that is it. I do appreciate y'all watching. Y'all let me know what you think. And right now, we're going to shuffle and cut.